Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O's on the Original Sports Podcast.
I'm so glad that we aren't sharing our conversation prior to coming on the show. Folks, okay, it's a Monday. Is it today Monday? No, Tuesday, 4:05 p.m. We get it. We know. T-Sizz and I, it's summertime school. T-Sizz, guess what? They emailed me today, asked me if I wanted to teach a summer class.
Nice.
Yeah, we needed the cash too because Terry got a class dropped and we were like pretty bummed out. I didn't have one. She didn't have one. We were scrambling. So I was pretty happy to do it. Mikey, I know you work year round though, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, sales. Let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
When they emailed you to see if you're going to sub, did you get to pick the subject or is it what you normally teach during the regular year?
To be honest with you, Mikey, hey, before we go any further, our guys
D. Barry.
What's up, D. Barry? Good to see you, man. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're having a beverage. They emailed me with health. They said, can you teach health A? So I said, yeah. And then he emailed me right back and he's like, hey, did you teach health B? And I said, yeah, I taught it for you I taught it for you in the spring. And I taught it in the spring at my school. I said, I've taught it 3 times now because this is new curriculum. It's been out for only 2 years. And he's like, oh, would you do that? And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
So
whatever.
Is it the same way as it was back in the day? I remember I had to go 1 year. I got a C. And my dad made me go.
That's how it is.
Never forget it. Got to see. But we went from like 8 to 12. How do they do it now?
All right. So here it is. I teach from June 26th to July 16th. It's all virtual. I see the students Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7:15 to 8:30 at night. I cover curriculum during that time. And then Tuesday, Thursday, I make myself available, but they have assignments they have to do. That's when they're asynchronous. So it's not too bad. It really isn't.
Okay.
I like teaching. I like the curriculum to the point where I know what I'm doing since I do it so much. And, it's a lot of it is just bullshitting with the kids. And I tell a lot of stories about things that I teach, from growing up, like, when people used alcohol, people with mental health, when you talk about suicide, like it's good to make that kind of connection with the kids. They appreciate that. I don't get in too deep when we do the family life unit. I just kind of.
I taught family life or something like that in 5th grade. They told me one rule: don't start drawing pictures. You start drawing pictures, it's over. That's when we had projectors and overhead screens and stuff. You start drawing pictures.
I can't believe they told you that. That surprises me.
Someone misconstrued my drawings. What are you saying?
Hey, Vincent drew a picture like that to share, and he brought it home. He said, hey, he started telling us what it was. I forget what rocket, something. And, that rocket looked like it had the afterburners fully charged and everything. It was crazy.
He was like, ready.
Yeah.
Ready.
He's at that age where, he's at that age. You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, while Juneteenth's significance primarily lies in its historical and cultural context, some prominent Black athletes have contributed to its recognition and celebration through advocating in the communities and community engagement. We're going to look at the top Black athletes throughout time. We're gonna, who've been advocating for this for years. We're going to look at today's, and we're going to look at past athletes. And why Juneteenth plays such an important role from such a variety of angles, I thought it was really important that we kind of jump into this and talk a little bit about it for, just to kind of educate people. I saw your clip chops, and you're right. The more education you have about things, the better off you're going to be.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, a lot of people don't even realize what Juneteenth is. And basically, in layman's terms, what it is how the slaves in 1865 realized 2 years after basically they were freed in Galveston, Texas, they didn't know this. So they were still slaves for 2 years after Lincoln had freed them. So the word took 2 years to get to Galveston, Texas, for them to truly be freed, which is, it's crazy, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's Texas. Texas is wild still to this day, where some states are trying to do away with the death penalty, where they say Texas putting in a speed line. Oh, you get too many crimes or some crazy crimes in Texas, they'll do you different. So that in layman's terms, just real quick, that's all Juneteenth is. It's just the true realizing that all the slaves were freed when the last ones knew about it. Now, the mindset doesn't change. You know what I mean? It took a while for that to change, but you know what I mean? So, but that's when it was officially on paper they were free.
Proclamation of Emancipation, right? That's what it originally was. Am I right?
Well, yeah, but 63, and then like Chop said, 2 years later, that's when. So, what I understand, Lincoln just made this proclamation. Hey, everybody should be free. We can't have house divided, right? He said everyone should be free, but he did not make it a rule until like 2 years later. It did not become a rule.
No, everybody in 63, they pretty much adapted it. You're right. Not everybody, but but Juneteenth itself is everybody else had accepted it. Everybody else accepted it. They're free. Galveston, Texas in 1865 was the last place to say, all right, go ahead, you're free, forget about it, whatever happened.
Yeah, because, they didn't have podcasts back then, and it took quite a while to get all the way down to Texas, and that was not until 65.
Yeah.
How the hell could word travel so slowly?
Yeah, and the crazy part about it, when you do your history, for a few years, not all, but a few years after that, that is when Black America was doing pretty well, for lack of a better term, because at the time, whether it was blacksmith, laborers, they had all been people of color. They had all been Black people. So now when you still needed that done, Black people were the ones to do it. So they were still able to do that. Now, it was a problem getting businesses, getting brick and mortars, hypothetically, whatever have you. But for a while there, they still had a craft where they were doing well.
Now, Chops, you said about 100, decades, hundreds of years later, I took a class with some dude from VMI, like some, PD classes and whatnot at Washington Trinity University in downtown DC. And he graduated from VMI, and that wasn't fully integrated till 1972. So fellas, we're talking 65 to 72. That's almost 110 years.
Real quick, check this out. And I know we've all seen the documentary Lakers and Celtics. It was a 30 by 30. Yeah. You might have overlooked it and not paid much attention to it. But it started in 1976, when they started doing segregation and busing Black students into the white neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It did not officially end. The busing crisis and segregation, schools were not totally segregated or desegregated, should I say, until 1989.
Holy shit.
Nobody realized that. That's what I'm saying.
Deep South?
No, Boston. In Boston.
What?
Yes. If you look back, you can do your own research. Your boy, the center, I'm looking right at him for the Celtics, who not
Mikal?
Bill Russell.
Russell, when his number was retired, it was a private ceremony, only his teammates and his family. He did not want any fans there because he was abused. He had his home broken into quite a few times. They defecated in his living room. He was still spray painted the N-word. It was terrible for him in Boston, and he was winning championships. It was rough, man. So I'm glad, but you know what it is. Hypothetically, right now, we love our Steelers. There's nothing, even if they change the rule about the Steelers, it's not going to. You can take away every Super Bowl win from us. Hypothetically, I'm just saying this as an example. We're not going to stop thinking our Steelers are great, and that's the same mindset. They changed the rules on paper, but you can't. People's mindsets were what they were, and I think that's what our issue is, regardless of race, religion, sexual preference. That's it. Nobody wants to listen to anybody anymore. Remember when there used to be a saying, "We agree to disagree"?
I always say that.
Nobody. Then Mark, you're the only one. Nobody says that anymore. Now it's, I don't like what you say. Screw you. I'll cancel you. That's not what this was about.
How about when Kareem was in college They didn't let him dunk because he
Yes.
was going to dominate, and they didn't want the black guy dominating the shit out of the sport. And so they said, "You can't dunk."
Yep, they tried to take the dunk away from him. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So,
but going back to Russell, 11 rings in 13 years. I don't think I've ever seen a dynasty like that. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And if you guys watch that, and they put it on, Ice Cube narrates the Lakers side. The guy who was the Donnie Wahlberg, he narrates the Boston side, and he says it basically, and he says it flat out. The Celtics were doing well in the late 60s, early 70s, but they winning championships more than the Bruins, but they weren't filling out arenas. And when they did a survey in Boston, why? The fans flat out said, too many black people. And when Havlicek and other guys, and this is documented proof, it's out there. See, and I hate to say you, when I say you guys, I'm literally talking to Mark and T Sizzle.
Yeah.
You guys can't fathom it because that's not how you grew up. That's not how you were raised. That's not how you were taught. Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was, so it's hard for you to fathom, but it's like, I don't get it, man. Let's get into the show because to me, I just don't get that. Even to be honestly, somebody's religion, you're fighting over religion. I don't get it. If it doesn't affect my household, I don't care what you do.
That's a mentality, though, my friend. That's a mentality, and it's based on, we are into the show because this is what we wanted to talk about. It's a mentality that starts at home. I'm sorry, that's where it starts. I mean, technically, I grew up in a Black Italian neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my neighborhood. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was always at the courts. I was always at his house when he was a kid because his mom is my sister.
Yeah.
And I hung out on 18th Street, and I hung out with, there was no. I didn't grow up seeing a separation because of color. I saw a separation because some people were assholes, some people were dicks, and some people were just really cool, and it didn't matter. You know, that you get that from every race. And that's where we lost complete sight of it. We have. I mean,
it was very unique where we were. It was unique because, I don't know.
And it was because
this would have come to the surface. I think, I don't know, back then we would have had maybe these conversations sooner. But I felt like, we didn't hang out at the court. We were just at the pool. You talk about the pool in an earlier episode, like we were always around each other.
Even myself, I had a few episodes where I had to deal with it and whatever have you. But in my neighborhood, which I grew up in an all-Italian neighborhood, only black family in an all-Italian neighborhood. Every dad, every last one of us, all the kids, didn't matter. It wasn't as politically correct back then. If we were messing up, our dads called us an idiot. You're being an idiot. You're being whatever. All the dads said that. All the dads smacked their kids. If you get a smack, you got a smack. So we all got raised the same way. Every dad had a distinct and different whistle. And if you heard that whistle, it wasn't, I'll be there in a minute. You left right then. You left right then.
That's so hilarious you say that because my dad used to call me to the house. As soon as I heard that, like you said, I was like a fucking Pavlov's dog. I was off and running. I'm getting there before he whoops my ass. Well, whoop my ass.
That's hilarious because I'll do a little whistle. Max is on the sidelines. He'll look up. Megan's like, "What are you doing?" It's not like you can tell him what to do. I was like, "I'm just, He looks over and I'm like, "Come on, get it together."
Yeah. It is, and it's weird because I have cousins who I know how you were raised. And you're raising your kids completely different. And I understand everything the way we were raised can't be done now.
No.
But the basis of respect for your classmates, respect for your teachers, respect for people of authority, respect for people in general. Yeah. Where is that nowadays?
It comes from home.
Real quick, true story. My mother is she gives herself the half. She says 5'2.5". I think she's closer to 5'2". My mom weighs maybe 130, 135 on a heavy with clothes and shoes, all that on. We were at Kroger when she was here in February, and I'm talking to her, and I'm not paying attention. You guys know me. I'm 6'1", over 300.
No.
A little smidgen. I walked in and cut this woman off and didn't realize I didn't cut her off because I was looking to my left where my mom was. This woman was on my right. My mother stops. Michael, apologize. You cut this woman off. That's not how I raised you. She says this in front. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I did, which I didn't see her. You know what I mean? But on the aspect of it realizes that my mother, I guess you might have said I was embarrassed. She raised her voice, sort of. Michael, I understand you didn't see her, but you cut someone off. You need to apologize. And it wasn't, she didn't hesitate. She didn't blink. It wasn't, I don't care. You're a grown man. You're still my son. You still need to respect people. I don't see that as much anymore. I just don't.
Well, like I said, it's hard because it went from that generation where you did something wrong at school, the teacher was right, the principal was right, and whoever else was involved from that perspective. So you got your ass whooped at school. Then you went home and you got your ass whooped. There was no, well, no, you didn't do that.
Was it like that in your house where dad wasn't doing the whooping? Was it mom?
Oh, no, my dad. Ooh, no.
Okay, because I know my grandmother,
freaking
my
hammer
grandma carried that wooden spoon. I'd go and terrorize Chestnut Street. She whooped my ass with the wooden spoon. My parents picked me up. They're like, "Oh, so how was Terry?" She's like, "Oh, he was great." I'm like, "Damn, Grandma, that was great. You just broke like 2 spoons on my ass."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I hate to see what it'd be like if I was bad.
I remember Mark's mom coming out. My brother and I were messing around the street and we act like we were fighting, whatever. I don't know why in the Terry neighborhood, the choice of weapon was a spoon, but they worked that spoon like a ninja. She'd come out. And there were times if my brother and I were messing around at the end of the street, they did. If my brother and I were messing around at the end of the street, by the time we got 10, 12 houses from Mark's mom's house to my aunt's house, Mark's mom had already called. We were in trouble, and my aunt had the switch. By the time I was like, "Are you?"
Hey, did you know Saki Walker?
Yeah.
So Saki and I looked alike when we were growing up a lot. You know, he would tan real dark like I do, and this one night I come home. I was home by curfew. I come in the door and I got whacked. Wham! I'm like, "What the hell's going? What I do, Mom?" I know what you did. Well, Saki, I forget exactly what the situation was, but he was up by Quirio's Market, and the lady who lived on that corner house right there, she saw him do something that was not legit. And what happened to me was I was blamed for it. The lady called down the house, told my mom.
Mrs. Zelansky. She was on my paper. Mrs. Zelansky, older lady, heavy set, gray hair.
That's her.
Mrs.
And she
Zelansky.
called the house. I got whacked a few times, and then I said, "Listen, I'll tell you exactly where I was, and you can go ahead and follow up on it." And she went and made some phone calls, found out I was there, and she said, "Well, who was it that looked like you?" And I said, "Saki." It was Saki, Mom.
Our parents were swinging first, asking questions later if they asked. Hey,
check out Earl Cole. Hey, Earl, thanks for joining us today, my friend. Earl Cole said my mother had a look. We all knew what that meant.
No, Earl, my mom had a look too. My mom, she put that one eyebrow up years ago. There was different sections to the look, different levels.
Yeah.
The one, watch yourself. The one, okay, I told you again, I'm not going to, if I got to tell you again, I'm calling your father. She had different looks. Yeah, man. She had different looks. Yeah. You knew the level. You knew.
I'll tell you what, he comes back with folks today have no compassion for their fellow man. And 100% right there, and we're going to get into the show even more right now. But, what bothers me is, like, Mikey, you and I were talking yesterday on the phone. What Dr. King marched for, what Dr. King stood for, what Dr. King wanted to create equity and equality amongst people, we're not getting that today. We're not getting that from any direction at all.
No.
All. You talk about compassion. It takes nothing for a guy to whip out a gun today and shoot somebody and not even think twice about it. And I'm like, good Lord, you're going to hell for the rest of your,
Treat life like it's a video game. There ain't no coming back from that.
Yeah.
There ain't no coming back from death. So guys saying I ain't worried about it. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it.
I'm happy and proud where I am, the diversity of where we live in Maryland.
Oh yeah.
And my kids growing up with people who don't look like them. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's how you learn, man. That's how you learn.
It represents what it should be. I love
Fellas, down here, I've met guys that I talk to quite often that'll tell me flat out They had lived so far south or wherever they lived. They had never met a white person. They're black. They had never met a white person until they got to the city. I had worked with two women that told me flat out, one was born and raised in Iowa, one was born and raised in Minnesota. They had never seen a black person until they got here. And they couldn't stop looking at them because they had never seen one in real life. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy.
That's interesting.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy.
Hey, I will say this, though. When Terry and I first come down here, we got teaching jobs, same school and everything. They asked us in our interview, they said, how do you deal with diversity? And I asked the lady, what are you talking about? What do you mean diversity? Explain to me. And she's like, and I'm like, no, explain to me what you're saying. What are you trying to convey here? And she said, well, we have a lot of black students. What was an all black school? Basically, except for maybe like 5 white kids. I said, what are you asking me? I said, I grew up in an Italian black neighborhood. They're people to me. That was it. I said, they're people to me. There was no,
Yeah.
And my parents who were older, my parents who were older, because they raised me like that. People are people.
Yeah.
People are people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So get into the show. Hey, get into the show a little bit. Check it out. I have some current guys, some current people, I should say, advocates. And we're going to do this like this. We're going to go with number 5. We're going to talk about Russell Westbrook. He was the number 5 guy on this list that I have put together here. And with Russ, basically, it says the NBA player executive produced a documentary called Tulsa Burning, the 1921 Race Massacre, which, while focusing on the Tulsa Race Massacre, also tied into the larger narrative of Black history and importance of recognizing events like Juneteenth. I mean, there are a lot of people, my friend, that have no idea that Russ made this or that this even happened. Hey, here's my guy. I used to teach my man right here, Nathan Lewis, great guy here. Where do our moral and human characteristics first develop? If our children are segregated, then we are manufacturing the way our society looks and acts like. 100%.
You know what? And the crazy part, Nathan, is Nathan says that the way they're characterized and how they. If you literally take the grandson, a 4-year-old grandson of the Grand Wizard, right, from the KKK, you take a 4-year-old grandson of a Black Panther, whatever you have, they will play together all day because they have no idea they're supposed to hate. They have that's what I don't get. Why parents teach hate. You know what I mean? You're taught that because as long as you're willing to. Now they realize his skin is darker than mine, just like a boy will realize he's different from a girl. They have, growing up, why she have this, I don't. But they don't hate at that age. You know what I mean? And it's crazy why parents would teach that. Yeah,
I was going to say it's definitely a learned behavior.
Yeah.
And we're not segregating right now, like schools, like we just talked about. We're segregating ideals and philosophies and mentalities that's keeping people away from. Just because someone looks like or looks different, talks different, dresses different, worships differently, there you go, then we can't be associated with, and that's BS because they're, like we all said, like you just said, Barbara, we're people. We're put here, to me, to serve and to help one another. And that's just messed up.
Yep. Hey, Nate says the Bible says, raise a child up in the way they should go, and they will not stray.
There you go.
Amen.
That is it. That's it.
Hey, Nate, congratulations on your Celtics winning the 18th championship for Boston, for the Boston Celtics. Amazing. Absolutely love that coach, by the way. 35-year-old man. He's got Al Horford's old enough to be his big brother. It's just crazy. I mean, it's just crazy that worked out like that. But yeah. And so what do you think about Russ, man? Russ really made a statement with this. Chops and I talked about Russ.
Well, here's the thing, Mark. The fact that he made it, yes, but you really missed, not you as in you, but Mark to me missed the chance, or Russ missed the chance to further divulge into it, to get more of your NBA brother and more of whomever to put more money into it? Can it get onto a big screen? Because if more people knew, hell, forget about African American history. If more people knew American history and what was going on, we'd look at each other different. You'd have to. So I think he missed the mark on. I hate to say missed the mark, but he missed a great opportunity to further indulge in what's going on. Like right here where I live, I live close to a place called Lake Lanier, and they call it Lake Lanier so they don't call it Oscarville, because the history of Oscarville was a black town where white landowners said, you know what, we don't want you black people to have this town anymore. They killed the ones that didn't leave and they flooded the town. Lake Lanier has more drowning deaths than any other lake, especially in Georgia, as well, a lot in the United States. A lot of people will tell you Lake Lanier is haunted. People have survived some of the drownings, and everyone says it feels like someone was pulling on me. And they do call it a haunted lake. You can look up Oscarville, whatever have you. But that to me is where, if we just had an opportunity, and let's say for sake of argument, he blew this picture up more and got into it and delved into it, whatever happened and how it's all started by the young man was accused of raping a young white woman, whatever have you, and how the police told him, you'll be fine, but he ended up being hung, so on and so forth. If people realized that what was going on, say that the movie had blown up, say they made it shown it to 1,000 more people would have seen it. Maybe at 1,999 would have been like, that's bullshit. That didn't happen. But if one person was like, wow, that's crazy, and started talking to more and more and more, and it's fragile, because if I talk about it, I come across as the angry black man, which a lot of ways Russ does. Russ is always truculent with the media, has it. So Russ comes across like that. But when you start getting advocates, the blonde hair, blue eyes, that can start talking for racial equality, that makes a huge difference, fellas.
Yeah. Hey, Rico, you're right, man. They've renamed places because of things like this.
Yeah.
We've renamed schools because of slave owners. A lot of good decisions are made along the way. Not getting rid of history, just making better decisions about how we should view history. How about that? So Nate asked if we ever saw the movie Rosewood, and I have not seen that movie.
What? Fannie Mae? What, fellas? Wow. Honestly, now you'd appreciate it more older than you would younger, because if you're younger, especially young black men, will put a lot of anger in you. But that's definitely one. That's definitely a movie you should check out.
I will put that on my summer watching list. You know how people have a summer reading list? Yeah, I have a summer watching list because I don't watch TV during the school year. I'll watch a game. That's about it. I don't really watch TV. Oh, and I love Cedric the Entertainer, so I watch his TV show.
I got you.
That's about it. That's about all I watch. You can ask my wife; she'll tell you straight up. And then in the summer, I catch up on everything that's going on in the world around me. Hey, number 2 on our list, or should I say number 4, is Maya Moore. So the NBA star paused her basketball career to focus on criminal justice reform and has been an advocate for civil rights. Her efforts contribute to the broader context of recognizing and celebrating Juneteenth. So she was a big advocate for it from a female perspective, which is huge to have out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now, and it is because she was at the height of her career when she gave it all up. And it's weird. I hate to say weird, because she ended up marrying the guy. They made that connection. They ended up getting married, who she helped get out for being unjustly accused and convicted. You know what I mean? But that was huge that she was able to put her career on hold, canceled it basically. She didn't go back. So canceled her and cut her career short because she believed in something greater than herself. And you have to applaud that. And I'm going to make a statement when we're all done. When we get all through all of our 5 who touched and helped and mowed the way, because we have some that we'll be able to touch on a little more that'll go more in depth and have more.
How long did he serve? Because I know he looked it up. He had a 50-year sentence for burglary and an assault that he didn't commit. So he was in prison for.
Yeah, oh, man. I think it 8 to 10 years. I want to say something like that. 8 to 10, I think. I'm not really. exactly sure on that. I can look it up, but I'm not exactly sure. But he got, and the crazy
So
part is,
he was 16 when he got
hemmed
sent
up.
to prison. And
so number 3 on our list, you guys, is Serena Williams, which is awesome that they put her on this list for us to take a look at. She's very well known by both the Black and white community, the Asian community, the Hispanic community. So we have somebody who's very well known. She has spoken out on issues of racial injustice, used her influence to support the BLM movement. She promotes awareness of Juneteenth. She's helped bring the holiday into a broader public consciousness. And from that perspective, like, because of who she is, because of what she's done, people stop and listen to her. It's really amazing to me that she just continues to put herself out there like that, because she's at the end of her career. Nate, I have never seen the 30 for 30 piece on her.
That's she on my.
I thought she did. Has she played in last year or two? I thought she.
I thought last year was her last year. I know she won something last year, but I'm pretty sure she walked away. But she, again, there's a couple of different. Listen, look, what you talking about, Bo?
Hey, Bo.
Who they what? Who they what?
they who we thought they were.
Yeah. But no, I just think she's done some amazing things for tennis. I think she's done amazing things for the Black community. I think she's been a great mouthpiece in spreading the advocacy.
What do you guys think about that? You're saying that, and some people say, I got to use my platform. And these people are just definitely living it, breathing it. And they feel this passion, desire to have to use that platform to speak for others who don't have that voice. And then there's people out there saying, just play your sport. This isn't why you're getting paid.
Well, and here's the thing, and just let's keep it 100. Let's keep it buck as we do here. How many Black people have you seen just play your sport? Then the ones, because let's keep it 100. There are some Black people. Okay, real quick. Growing up was I don't want to say growing up, but when they used to have slavery, they'd have field Negroes and house Negroes. And when Master would get sick, the house Negro would say, "We sick, boss. We sick, boss," like he was part of it, as though he or she, that house Negro, was better than the field Negro. So they have that mentality, I'm in the house, I'm better than you. No, because when it comes down to it, you're still a Black slave in Master's eyes. So there are still some Black people now that sort of forget, I don't care how you think, you are still Black in America. And I'm saying that to say a lot of white America were like, just play sports. I don't want to hear this.
Right.
Because it turns the light and it makes you look at what America has done. And it bothers me when people say, well, if you hate America, just leave. If you hate America, just leave. Whoa. Nobody said that we hate America. Hell, and if you think about it, as even Black people would fight in the military and sign up whatever to the military, the question would always beg for Black people, why do we love a country so much that doesn't love us in return? And I say that because, hell, even on the GI Bill, lots and lots of Black soldiers were denied the GI Bill. That they thought that's where they were going to the military. Soldiers fought in Vietnam, fought in the Korean War, whatever have you, went overseas to fight for other independence, for other civilians, or I don't want to say civilians, societies and citizens in other countries. Yet when they came back to America, they were still second-class citizens. You can't drink from this fountain. You can't eat at this booth. So that was always hard for Black people. So, and it is, and people just start making a mental note. The next time you hear people start saying that, just see what their perspective is on America. And for the people who say, if you hate America, leave. Dude, my wife doesn't love everything about me. There are things, and I have habits that she doesn't like. She'd like to change. Doesn't mean she wants to divorce me. There are some things, you know what I mean? And that to me is why it bothers me when people say, well, if you don't like it, leave. Fellas, remember, my experience for something is not the same as yours. Your experience is not the same as mine. People don't get that.
And guys listening, we had, in our group chat, we had Heart to Heart Chops in the Dream, who's not with us today. He's down in Alabama listening or watching the baseball game. They shared their, huh?
He's at Rickwood. Hey, Nate, I put a link in the show, in the chat in the show. If you copy and paste that, we can let you in the show to go ahead and share your views. I should tell you guys that Nate and I taught together. He's a history teacher at Northwestern with me for a number of years.
Okay.
My point real quick, guys, is in that chat, you guys shared your experiences. And to me, again, that's what life's about, learning about other people. And thank you so much for doing that, because
I'm not going to name names.
That sheds light. That sheds light. It opens my eyes.
I won't name the name because he's not here to defend himself. However, you know my parents, you know my mother and my father. I was in 8th grade and my parents did the teacher-parent meeting, whatever have you, went over my grade and I got teacher was giving me a C. Said, Michael hands all his assignments in on time. He does great participation. These are his test scores. Why is he getting a C? And my mother would not let this point go.
Who was the teacher?
No, I'm not going to do that, man. I want to, but here's the thing. And it got to the point where they sought legal counsel. They were going to sue because it come down to basically this teacher didn't believe a black student was better than a C grade. And they had documented proof that I was turning in homework. I was doing participation. It wasn't, I was slacking. It was never, I was slacking. So, and that's things that I experienced, it wasn't often, but I experienced that, and I experienced some other things, but these are the conversations we need to have in order to move forward, but nobody wants to have them. And I understand. My thing is this: if I talk to a white person about what's happened in history, I don't look at them sideways. You didn't do it to me. It's what we're dealing with as a society, but we can change it. That's where the people that don't even want to talk about what used to happen, let's not forget about what happened. Real quick, also, one other thing that bothers black people. If we want to talk about reparations, slavery, white people always say, I didn't have slaves. I didn't do it to you. I wasn't here. You didn't do this. Get over it, get over it, get over it. Because it didn't affect them. Racism doesn't affect them. Do you know what white people coined the phrase of 9/11? Never forget. Because it affected white people. So they tell you never forget. But black people are told, let it go. It's moved on. You know what I mean? So, and those are things that it's hard to deal with, man. And you can't fight the system in a lot of ways because you're labeled an angry black man, or you look at some of the black leaders we tried to have over years, Martin Luther King, so on, Huey Lewis, they're all assassinated. They're all killed.
Mikey, you're just a big ass black man. You ain't an angry one.
Yeah, that's what I get. That's what I get.
Hey,
he's a teddy bear, guys.
Kenny Mays, this dude's pretty awesome. He and I jump on with him on Thursday nights now to do some hockey stuff. But by the way, his show's called Get the Puck Out of Here, or Get the Puck Out. Yeah. Anyway, his phrase up there, also, you don't need to love everything about America to love the country. I agree. He's a vet, and I don't love everything about the country I serve.
And that's part of the problem, where somebody who can speak on it because he served and he's a vet, he can tell you earned that right to protest whatever. I don't have to agree with it, but you've earned that right. You get people who never served and are saying people doing this is disrespecting the flag, whatever have you, and they want to riot or they want to cancel people. But a veteran realizes, I don't have to agree with everything, but I fought for you to have that right. Where a person who sat on his couch the whole time, never did any boot camp or anything, wants to cancel everything. So it is what it is. Now, these last two, these are the ones I feel we need to get into.
Yeah, number two. What do you think of number two?
All right, number two. Number two is Braun, okay? NBA star uses platform to raise awareness about Juneteenth and its importance. I don't feel like he was instrumental in getting this pushed to the forefront. I'm going to be honest with you. Through his activism and initiatives like the More Than a Vote campaign, LeBron has highlighted the significance of the day and its relevance to ongoing struggles for racial justice. So I do feel like he was very, very instrumental in getting this pushed forward.
So just getting it pushed forward was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It just became.
He's in his 20th year in the
holiday.
league, or just finished his 20th year. So it took him 17 years of being in the league to have a voice loud enough that somebody listened to him, which is absolutely insane if you ask me.
And I understand he started the charter school and he's doing his thing. And I told you in our private chat, he's not in top 2 to me. He's not in the top 2 when we're talking black athletes who have actually put it on there, put it out on the line for racial equality. He's not in the top 2. But where Braun sort of lost me was when they it was in the bubble and they decided they weren't going to play the game. The NBA, they could have shut the NBA down. Owners would have had to listen. Everybody would have had to listen, and they caved after one game. And when I say caved, because they didn't keep it up. They didn't speak about whether you agree with Breonna Stewart or not, or Philando Castile, Tamir Wright, whether you agree with how that went down, George Floyd. It was, again, things that were happening in our community, and they didn't speak on it every time a microphone was in front of them. That's what bothered me. That's what bothered me, because you had the momentum when you said we're not playing tonight. Well, you said not playing tonight. Okay, let's say, for sake of argument, whoever cooks in your house, whether it's you or your wife, if your wife says, I'm not cooking tonight, we're all going to bed hungry, you suffer for that night. But if you're going to eat the next day, is your behavior really going to change? They went right back to playing the next day. And fellas, you can say what you want. I don't know.
Money talks.
Yeah, exactly. But they had it. They had the power, and they didn't. I don't know, man. So I understand what he's trying to do, and I want to give him his props. But also, he spoke out, and he caught flack for not coming down on China, if you remember that a few years ago, because he has investment money in China. So he wasn't real hard to come down on him. So again, I applaud what he's done, but like I told you, fellas, there's 2 more than me. There's 2 more in my that have done more for racial equality that truly lost it all.
Yeah, Kenny here brings up the next guy that we want to talk about, Colin Kaepernick.
Absolutely. He is number 2 on my. He's number 2 on my list.
Guys, if you want to get on the show and you've got something you want to add, you can reach us at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. If you reach out to us, I'll send you a link and you can jump on the show.
Absolutely.
Originalsportspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
I know I've been putting a link in our chat, you guys, and it's I guess it doesn't show up for everybody else, but just send us an email to originalsportspodcast@gmail.com, and I will monitor it and send you the link.
Yes. And the same, fellas, on the same token, let people know if they don't agree with something. I can only speak for myself. If they don't agree with something I'm saying, I want to hear that too. This is how dialogue starts. This is how people get to each other and we get to talk. You don't have to call names. You don't have to throw punches. You don't have to blow stuff up. We can agree to disagree, but at least I've heard you. You've heard me. That's how it is. But when you talk about Kaepernick, this was a man who was raised by a white family, but he still realized there were other people that looked like me that didn't get the privileges that I had. Nobody, and it bothered me because this entire thing that went down with Kaepernick was because they hated the method, they ignored the message.
Yeah.
Think about what I'm saying. They hated the method. But again, black people have been told if we riot, nobody's going to listen. We've had sit-ins. Nobody listened. We marched. Nobody listened. If you go through history, and now mind you, fellas, again, it's called equal rights or civil rights. Black people are fighting for equal rights as humans or civil rights. That they weren't asking for anything more. And when and it's weird because technically, fellas, in the Constitution, in the 13th Amendment, I'm still considered 3/5 a human. When you look at the 13th Amendment, it says in there black men are considered only 3/5 human. So that's something we still deal with as a country. But with Kaepernick, when they told him don't sit, And when I say they, it was Nate. It was a Marine. It was a Marine, Nate Boyer, who told him, "We kneel for a fallen soldier out of respect." And even when he said and stood behind a microphone and flat out told you why he knelt, where he got kneeling from, nobody listened. They ignored the method, and they wanted to ignore the message and only focused on the message. And that to me,
it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. Whenever you see in every end zone, and you see in every end zone in the NFL and racism, and he brought this to light. They shoved him out the door, blackballed him, lack of better term. Sorry. And now they're trying to be the hero of it.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Baldwin, he's a black activist. Steve Baldwin, look him up. James Baldwin. He started the phrase, "It's hard for me to believe what you say because I see what you do." Think about that. It's hard for me to believe what you say because I see what you do. And that is a prime example for the NFL. I hear what you're saying in putting end racism in the end zone, this, that, and whatever, but I'm seeing what you're doing is you still won't give that man a chance. And when the owner said he destroys our bottom dollar, bullshit. And I don't cuss on this much. Bullshit. And I'll tell you why. Because Nike signed him and they made money. He won awards, humanitarian awards that his family didn't vote on. The citizens of the United States voted on. Other demographics voted on it, and he still won. He was on the cover of Time. So don't tell me you lose money. That was something that was told us and we were to believe. But again, NFL, it's hard for me to believe what you say because I see what you do. You still never gave that man a shot. You can say as much as you want that we believe in him, and he was right, he was wrong, but you never gave him a shot. Never gave him a shot.
We're not getting into his physical capabilities. Couldn't he play? That's a whole different topic. But you
never gave him a true shot to know. And that's why, real quick, and when the NFL even set up his workout, they set up a workout on a Saturday when all teams travel for Sunday. No real scouts were going to go, and they wouldn't let any cameras in. Why? Because they could create the narrative that he had a terrible workout. So when nobody signed him, that's what it was. When he did it out in the open, everybody could see he could still play, and they still
definitely hijacked it. Then I asked my cousin, Mark's nephew, who served in the military, about the whole situation. He's like, "That's his right." And that's his right. He's like, "That's what we fight for." Sit, kneel, stand, hand on heart, hat off the head. That's your right.
Yes.
And we talk about that here also, forcing your agenda. You don't like it, you're canceled. And that's what happened to the poor guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish they would have been able to I really wish they'd have been able to put this together in a much more refined way. I think it goes back to, again, before I finish, if you want to be on the show, email us at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link to jump on and say your piece this evening. I want to go back to what Ashton said, you guys. Ashton was very upfront about what he said. I appreciate this too. Nobody wants to have real conversations anymore. It makes them feel uncomfortable. So we have to live in a world of ignorance. And we see that, Mikey, where we see that the most, and Terry and I see this the most, we see it in the classroom.
Yeah.
We see it when we go to school. Now, here's the biggest problem with it in the schools, okay? The biggest problem with it is they point out what they would like to see, what they want to see fixed, what they want to see, the fairness, the equality, all that stuff. But what they don't point out, and there's our boy, what they don't point out, Mikey, is they don't say, we're going to go about it like this. They don't tell us how they want to manifest a plan. They just tell us, this is the problem we have. They don't tell us, let's work through.
Yeah, and the school agenda, we're told what we have to believe in and what we have to and can and cannot say.
So I'd imagine. And here's the problem. Ashton was
political.
But Ashton was right. It makes him uncomfortable. But that's the conversations you have to have. And you guys are parents. Okay, you guys are parents. At some point, You had the birds and the bees talk with your little one coming up. Hell, this shit made you uncomfortable, but you knew there was a better reason on the other side why you did it.
Absolutely.
And that to me, that's a problem we need to get past, worrying about other people's feelings. If it's just a level of, I would ask you this. Nobody has ever achieved greatness being in the state of comfortable the entire time. You can't.
Well, hell no.
I don't care what it is. So to me, we're not our best selves because everybody wants to be comfortable. Nobody wants to be pushed. Nobody wants to have this conversation. And if you don't, you're going to stay ignorant to it. You just really are. You know what I mean? So it bothers me. And one of the biggest culprits that bothered me, and I love Ray Lewis. I love him. When he got on NFL, I want to say NFL Live, it was on HBO or whatever it was, and he said the Ravens were going to sign him. No, they weren't. He said they were going to sign him until his girlfriend came out and made a statement. They wouldn't even kneel with him. They kneeled as a team in London for something else, but not in the stand with Kaepernick. Des Bryant said it flat out. I can't kneel with him. I will lose money. I got a family to feed. Fellas, really? That's what they never realized the power they had. And it bothered me. It really bothered me because they could have made a difference.
Hey, check it out. Sheen's here with us. It's awesome to see him. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us
I thought that shirt said Gap.
No, Dapper Dan. He made clothes in Harlem. He would take Louis Vuitton stuff, Gucci stuff, and make stuff for the hip hop guys. You remember back in the day when Mike Tyson was fighting out in front of a store?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mitch Green.
That was Dapper Dan's store.
Hey,
He went to buy the jacket. Don't believe the hype.
Is that where the basketball Dapper Dan came from him?
Nope. Dapper Dan, because he's dapper with his clothes.
All right.
He now works for Gucci, actually. Yes.
Hey, Sheen, tell us a little bit
What's
about
up?
where you are and what's going on there. What's the feeling there?
So I'm in Alabama today. I got here today about 11 o'clock this morning. The Buckies. You got the Buckies? With the Buckies. But I'm here for Rickwood. It's the oldest baseball stadium in the country. I'm here for St. Louis and San Francisco. They're having a Negro League to honor the Negro Leagues. They're having a baseball game. I'm also going to see the Barons tonight. Barons versus I forget who, but
we talked about Rickwood last night on 108 Stitches Baseball Podcast, and we were saying that I actually brought this up. I said, on a yearly basis, not just doing one game there, but that should be like the kind of place that you should have like the All-Star game or some sort of memorable game, not just some sort of honor thing for one time. It needs to be something, and I get that it's old, and I get that it's it's not a huge capacity, but crap, they do it at Williamsport. They do it
at the Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
They got.
Yeah. But fellas, think real quick on a different. Think about this though. Remember when we were growing up, we all had family reunions. They're not as prevalent as big as they used to be.
So now
people just don't hold on to nostalgia as much as I don't think as we did. You know what I mean? And like you say, that if they had more nostalgia, maybe they would honor that stadium a little more. Like I said, have an all-star game there, something that matters. Yeah.
Hey, Reckless is joining us. That's Kenny Mays. He's my guy from hockey.
What's up, boys?
Hey, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Reckless. I host Shut the Puck Up with my buddy Adam. Mark hops in with us every once in a while. He's a regular guest. Glad to be here. I just kind of wanted to point out exactly. I'm sorry, Chops. We've never met. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You're 100% right about the kneeling. Although it wasn't a Marine, it was a Green Beret.
Green Beret. I fought between. I couldn't remember. You're right. You're right. Green Beret.
It was the at least in the veteran community there, it's pretty split. But at least in my opinion, I thought Kaepernick sitting on the bench for the national anthem was a lot more disrespectful than him taking his helmet and going to the sidelines and kneeling. That is the Green Beret, the reason that it came up is, or the idea came about, was the Green Beret got annoyed that he was sitting. I agree. What the Green Beret said was, when we hand a flag to the mother of a dead soldier, we take a knee, and we're showing respect to the flag and for the family and for everything that family has sacrificed. So what Colin Kaepernick did, yes, he was raised by a rich white family, but he realized that he could do something. And I'm not black. I'm an Irish white dude, but Irish white dudes, if anybody knows the history of Ireland, we identify with you guys. We understand the suffering. We understand. So we empathize. So what Kaepernick did, growing up in a rich white household, giving up his whole damn career to take a knee, is honestly, in my opinion, one of the bravest things I've ever seen in sports history.
Oh, without as I feel the same way, without question. That's why I got him number 2. But because he risked it all, man.
He didn't risk it all. He gave it all up.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, yeah. And
I don't think he knew that. I don't think he knew that was going to happen. No.
I don't think he did, but I think he was willing to risk it.
Yeah, he knew he could have stopped, and he didn't. He could have stopped, and he didn't. And he, at that point, again, he may not know how far it was going to go, but he knew he was going to catch flag.
Right. And back to your point, Chops, about Nike. Nike sold that black Kaepernick jersey was the highest selling jersey for like 2.5 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe Cap doesn't have the true, NFL skills that he displayed year one. But the guy would be, I could name 25 quarterbacks that are worse than him that are on NFL rosters.
Yeah. And the crazy part is, don't forget, he went to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship. In his last year in San Fran, the entire team was garbage. Blaine Gabbert, whatever. But I just think my guy got done wrong. But it's the world we live in.
I agree with you. I think he got screwed. I think he got completely screwed. I think the NFL blacklisted him just because they wanted to make the point that the white owners know better than the black players.
Absolutely.
Hey, our boy Coach Lou has something to say. Go ahead, unmute yourself and speak, man.
You guys, it's really good to be with you. Mark, how are you? I hope you're well. Rasheen, good to see you, brother. I hope all is well with you and your family. We worship together, so we know where we stand. But you guys have covered a lot of ground, and in your covering ground, I got so many points I'd like to make, but I'm going to make 2. Going back to 1960s and the 1964, 65, the greatest black athletes at that time got together. Muhammad Ali,
Cleveland Summit.
And they used that platform to bring issues that would otherwise be ignored by the mainstream America. We all know that. But if you don't have a platform, or if you don't take charge of where you are in your life, where will you be? And most of them, they grew up in families that a Bible was at the center of their existence.
Had to be.
From that came all of the character that in segregation we needed to get through. My father always told us, and I know a lot of black families told their boys and their girls, as we faced segregation, as we faced the animosity, the discrimination, and racism, you've got to learn to smile in their face and pick their pockets at the same time. So, what's the brother's name? If I say his name, W.E.B. Du Bois wrote a book entitled, I'm just so hyped to be with you all. But the book was talked about Black people living behind the veil, coming out from behind the veil. And then coming out, in other words, we go to work, we go to anywhere we go, organizations where there were white folks, and we'd have to restrain ourselves.
Without question.
We'd have to hold back who we were. But that he claimed that to be behind the veil. In America, Black people have been behind the veil since we've been here, and we're still there today. The only way that we can come from behind the veil is if we trust our environments, and our environment is not very we can't trust our environments because it's been thrust in our face so many different times, pushed down, pressed, kicked to the side, walked on, just for having an idea. One of the things that troubles me is when, and I'm glad a lot of these younger athletes are now using their platform, is there was a time period when we didn't use the platform. And when you talk about Colin Kaepernick, my brother, I don't have my glasses on. Does that say reckless?
It does say reckless.
I don't understand the military piece, but I appreciate it. But I'll tell you this. If you have not walked in another man's shoes and you can't empathize, somebody mentioned earlier about, not going or not living in the communities. But I grew up in an all-white environment. I'm rambling, guys, because I'm not prepared. Normally, I like to be prepared. And I'm excited to be with you. I grew up in an all-white environment in Boston, Massachusetts. My father raised 17 children, okay, and took on 5 more as a welder in the Watertown Arsenal after coming home from the Korean conflict. We couldn't get the houses. You all mentioned this earlier. We couldn't get a house in the suburbs of Boston. We couldn't use the GI Bill when they were putting forth all of the new appliances, what have you. Where did we go? We couldn't even go over to Charlestown or South Boston without having a confrontation just to get roach spray to kill the roaches in our house. I'm just telling you this because if America can just open its eyes and just put ourselves in other people's places, guess what? We'd be a different country. But capitalism and all this other stuff brings us to this point where we got to get ours. But what about the people who have been held and oppressed from getting theirs? I mean, if y'all don't know that, it's crazy. And I'm gonna say this, and I know I'm taking up too much time. I apologize, but we got a guy who's running for president who's echoing the same sentiments that we're seeing in Germany, Eastern Europe right now, from some very right-wing conservative people who don't want anything that's non-white, that's non-conservative to survive. So our institutions, in particular our schools, are suffering in various parts of this country, maybe not in Maryland, from these conservatives taking over and not allowing our children to know their history and to know who they are, where they came from, because why? The legislators are cutting it out. You all know the drill. But it just pisses me off to no end when I see that people aren't seeing the truth for the truth. Black people don't hate America. We hate America's policies. I love this country. I love my freedom. Most Black people will tell you they love their freedom. But when you get oppressed, look, Mark and I worked for a lady who I was coaching somewhere at a private school, and we getting ready to go to Middle America to play in a tournament. I went to the woman and I said, white woman, and I said, look, I'm going to this because I'm a coach over here, da-da-da-da-da. You know what she said? I don't know what you're used to, but there's a new sheriff in town. You need to get together, and I don't know. I'll have to let you know whether I'm going to let you go. Well, guess what? You ain't dealing with no fool, lady. Guess what? I go to the tournament. Why? I use my leave days and my sick days to go. I'm a grown-ass man. How you going to tell me what I can't do? And the work I do around here, guess what? And that's the what is the word I'm looking for? That is the tenacity, and that is the veracity, that is the intelligence, that is all of that stuff that we got to bring to the fore, no matter who we work for. Because if we just say, yes, a boss, we might as well be back in 1865. Yes, a boss. No. It's all about self-respect and putting your best foot forward. I coined a phrase that I believe number 45 or number 44 rather coined. I will, and I can, and I will. I was saying that when I was coaching private basketball in the 90s, telling kids that they will, if you can and you will. If we don't start telling people, our children, that they can, I don't care whether you're red, white, blue, green, or brown. We need to echo that sentiment to our children. And if we're not doing it, guess what? If we went to war today, how many of our 17 to 25s would step up and go fight for the nation? That's a huge question. Isn't it reckless? The numbers are down, aren't they reckless?
It'd be zero.
Come on, man.
It'd be zero.
So this is not just a black issue. This is an American issue. This is an American issue. And coaches, did you see what Joe Mazzulla had on his shirt? Huh? First, I thank God. You got to have some level of character.
They tried to bait him, though, Nate.
Huh?
They tried to bait him.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But see, that's the person.
And he said, no. What he said about the Christians. He said,
man, and look, bottom line is he's got his faith and he stood his ground.
100%.
I like when they asked him, did you meet the royal family when you're in London? He goes, who? Jesus, Mary, and Joseph? That's
Mama. That's right.
Amen.
How can I argue with a guy like that? He's using his platform.
He's a kid, Nate. He's 35 years old. He's a kid to me.
But Coach,
yes.
Coach,
my son is older than him.
I got a story for you that's going to make your blood boil, but it's also going to warm your heart. So Easton, I live in Easton, Pennsylvania. We are a wrestling town. The wrestling team here has won countless state championships, has produced national title winners at the NCAA level. A booster who was a parent of a kid who missed weight grabbed our old wrestling coach by the throat and called him the N-word. That led to the school board firing the coach, me running for school board because of it, and the entire wrestling team refusing to wrestle unless the coach was reinstated. And that booster, who happened to be a parent of a wrestler, or a grandparent rather, was banned from being at any other Easton wrestling matches. You want to talk about using your platform? These kids decided to stand their ground and use their platform against racism, and that gives me hope for the future. In all honesty, I'm seeing parts of our country that are really ugly. I've been across the globe, seen really ugly things across the globe. But what's happening in the United States right now is nothing else than a man trying to garner support for a genocide. I'm on your side, man. I'll fight right behind you. And I know a lot of veterans who will too. All enemies, foreign and domestic, is an oath we all took. But that man that we're speaking of, and that extremist ideology, is anti-Christian, and it's extremely troubling, and very scary to watch. I know it's a sports show and we've gotten off topic here, but it's really fucking scary to watch. Half the country support someone who is very clearly a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King said that Black history or African American history is inextricably tied to American history. The daughters of the American Revolution 100%. Kicked all that to the side. I'm just saying, we must pass on a message of everybody's greatness, not just some. And sometimes, we need to learn to hold our tongue. The Bible says something about your tongue and what comes out of your tongue can be your worst enemy. And we need to learn to watch and hold our tongues
That's actually my
at
favorite.
certain times. But
That's actually
we
my favorite.
still, I'm sorry.
I said that's one of my favorite Bible quotes. It's the tongue you use to speak Jesus' name, you shall not use to blaspheme, and you shall not use to basically destroy what's around you.
Or anybody else, anything. But the bottom line here is, with athletics comes commitment. With commitment comes responsibility. With responsibility comes accountability. I look at the likes Maya Moore and Colin Kaepernick. I think they lived the dream of being able to stand for something. Because the old adage, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yep.
But as we bark our last one, and that's a segment that when you talk about, as we talk about who put it on, nobody did it more than Muhammad Ali. Nobody risked more than Muhammad Ali. And the fact, and let's not forget, as you said, Lou Alcindor knew who he was, so he was always a militant brother. You had James Brown, who quit football at the height of his career when the owner was trying to tell him what he can and can't do. He left and went to, you know what I mean? So, and in doing that, when Ali said in front of the camera, I'm not going to Vietnam. No Viet Cong, and I'm going to say it flat out, no Viet Cong has ever called me nigga. None. You want me to go over there and fight for them, but y'all won't fight for me over here. Again, that has always been America's problem. They get stuck on the method and never listen to the message. That's where I know, as a black man, it bothers me. America always gets stuck on the method and not the message. You know what I mean? But no, to me, with Muhammad Ali, what he stood for every time he got in front of Mike Douglas or he got on Letterman, wherever he was, he let you know what he stood for. He let you, and he was not anti-white. He was just pro-black. And you know what I mean? So that's why he'll go down as the greatest.
Hey, Chops, you want to hear my favorite Martin Luther King quote?
Yeah, man.
The riot is the voice of the voiceless.
That's it. The unheard. Exactly. Absolutely. And it's funny. It's funny because, again, when you hear a lot of riots, you'll hear people say, is this how Dr. Martin Luther King, or they'll quote something from Dr. Martin Luther King on one of his more peaceful quotes, but they always seem to ignore that quote of what he says a riot is about. It's funny to me.
Hey, fellas, this has been an incredible discussion journey. We brought so many things to light. I'm so glad that we were able to talk about a lot of these athletes who have done so much and used their voice and made so many sacrifices.
Hey, Mark, let me interrupt you real quick. Simone Biles.
We have her on the list. Yeah, we have her on the list. Trust me. This list is long. This list is, Jackie Robinson, Usain Bolt,
Tommy Harper.
Yeah, I mean I have a hell of a list. Arthur Ashe, Carl Lewis. I mean the list.
I'm also going to add, if nobody's watched the Jackie Robinson movie where he took the spikes in the legs and he just went, no, you're not taking me out. I need to prove I'm worth more than that.
Yeah.
Use this stage. What a great way to use the stage.
But my thing is, I mean, we had a lot of dialogue. I'm so happy to get Reckless and Coach Lou on. Nate and Kenny came on, joined us. I'm glad Rasheen had the time to jump in. Being that he's at Rickwood and he's got a lot of stuff going on. It's just been when I put this show together, fellas, I didn't know where it was going to go. I knew we were going to have some deep conversation. I didn't know how deep it was going to get. And as I listened and reflected and my voice went silent because I wanted to hear what a lot of people had to say. It was that important to me to do this. And it was that important to me to hear what others' perspectives and facts and visions are, that I just you know, at the end of the day, it just was a great show to me. So, fellas,
this is how we get better. This is how we get better as a country, as a nation. You have to.
Hey, Ashton said it. We live in ignorance today. We're afraid to say anything. We don't want to have those conversations. We don't. And like I said, and Nate can attest to this, and Terry can attest to this as a teacher. We sit down and we talk about how we're going to help the kids who are minorities every year. We talk about the same damn thing, but we don't come up with a plan to help these kids. They expect us to do this, but it's not. It takes a village. You know, I'm not a big Hillary Clinton fan, but I read that book, and I will say it takes a village to make this change. And if we don't come together as a village, there will never, ever be change.
Correct.
Discourse needs to not die in this country.
Yep. So, hey, thanks again, guys, for joining us today. I'm going to let you, T-Sizz and Mike, go ahead and share how we can reach you. I'll let Reckless go ahead and share how we can reach him on his Shut the Puck Up show.
I'm on Instagram and the X at 1TYoungie.
I'm on Instagram as and please, I apologize for the language here, but it's a line from one of my favorite TV shows. I am on Instagram at Captain Fuckpants. You can find me on Facebook at Kenny Mays, kennymays@gmail.com. Feel free to email me. Peak One Sports is where we host Shut the Puck Up. So give us a follow there. Give us a like. We'll be on Thursday at 9. And Mark, I'm going to extend an invitation about halfway through. If you want to hop on and break down some cool hockey news.
Yeah, that'll be great, man. I appreciate it. I'll be looking for the email.
Game 5 tonight.
Yeah. Well, you guys know me on the gram, Big Chops 79, on the X, the Real Big Chops, on Facebook, my government name, Michael Gregory Mills. You look, even if you don't agree with me, reach out to me. I love debate and I love a good verbal joust. I want to hear what you got to say. You can hear what I got to say, and either we agree to agree, we agree to disagree, but at least we can give each other something to think about. So reach out to me. I love the conversation, the interaction.
Sheen, go ahead and throw yourself out there.
Hey, I'm Rasheen Hill everywhere. Today,
literally,
today I'm in Alabama. Tomorrow, I don't know where I'll be, but today this is where I am. But yes, Rasheen Hill everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all that.
Nate, how can we stay in touch with you and your views?
I'm on X, Nathan Lewis. I'm on Facebook, Nathan Lewis. My logo is a black lion. And you know, I'm going to come back, Mark, and I want to make sure that I know how to get to this. I'm not familiar with all this technology, but I want to get you to talk about how much money these young people are getting paid at these universities. And what that does to sports, period.
Ooh, the NIL money, huh?
My son is the athletic director at George Mason. And I'm getting fresh news about how this is impacting colleges and athletics across the country. This NIL, name, image, and likeness, and what it's doing, and how the NCAA is just running by the seat of its pants, man, and they don't know what the hell's coming next. And
they set no ground rules. We'll
as a former college hockey player, I would love to have some of that NIL money.
Hey, look, man, they used to have my son's picture. We go to fly to a game, we get on the plane, and here it is. He's advertising and got Rydell all around his name, and he ain't getting a nickel.
Nope.
PlayStation Sports, they had him with the Georgia Tech team being a shooter. Guess what? He ain't getting a nickel. So
South Park covered it best.
What did they say?
Just saying. Oh, Cartman pretended to be a slave owner and talking about how crack baby basketball and how the NCAA treats the players like slaves. With NIL, it's a new frontier, but quite frankly, yeah, like players were treated like
chattel. Say it, chattel.
Yep.
Exactly. They're treated like slaves.
Nate, we'll have you and your boy back on at some point in the not so distant future. I'll be in touch with you now that I have your email. Again, thanks a lot, fellas. Let me go ahead and wrap the show up. Hey, connect with us here on the Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei and the Barbershop crew. You can check out our webpage, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei. You can like our Facebook page, join our conversation on Twitter, and reach out to us on Snapchat. All those are O.S.P with MM. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can watch our TikToks, and obviously you can watch us on YouTube. If you have not done so yet, please subscribe to us. Hit that red button. We're trying to grow the show. We've been 5 years at this, and we're still trying to grow. I'd like to give a shout out to our networks, Let's Talk Sports Network, SidelineSports.net, and Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as the newest and most adventuresome one that I think we've jumped on here out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is Peak One Sports, and also Manning Media. We're on with them. Hey, you can catch this same show tonight on Roku, on ESEN from 9 to 10. Feel free to let us know if you have any comments, questions, suggestions by emailing us at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. A shout out to Steve Medley for doing the voice intro. A shout out to Charlie Hodgson for writing our intro and outro music. Join us next week as we experience EO on the Original Sports Podcast.